All right, so today we're going to talk about something that sounds kind of impossible, right? 7 lazy habits that somehow make you super productive. Yeah, I know how that sounds, but trust me on this one. And just so you know where this is coming from, the person who came up with all this says, and I quote, "I am, without a doubt, the laziest person I know." Seriously, this is someone who loves to sleep, absolutely hates the whole grind culture, and will jump at the chance to do nothing all Saturday. I mean, sounds pretty familiar, right? Which brings us to this weird situation, this productivity paradox. Like, how does that person, the lazy one, also manage to get straight A's, run a whole channel, and seem like they have their life together? You know, for a long time, they thought something was just wrong with them. Like, why can't I be one of those people who wakes up at 4 a.m. and just hustles? But here's the big secret they figured out. Productivity isn't about suffering. It's just not. It has nothing to do with waking up before the sun or forcing yourself to do a bunch of stuff before breakfast, if that's not your thing. The real game is about one simple thing: removing friction. Okay, let's get into the actual hacks. Section 1 is all about your environment. And the best part? It's literally about using your own laziness to trick yourself into being productive. Yeah, for real. So the first habit is called strategic friction. Let's be real, our brains are wired to take the easiest path. And what's usually the easiest path? Scrolling on our phones. So instead of trying to fight that urge with willpower, which, runs out, you just make your bad habits more annoying to do. And here's a super practical example. The phone jail. When it's time to work, you literally just put your phone on the other side of the room. Now, if you want to check Instagram, you have to physically get up and walk over there. And because you're lazy, you're probably not going to do it. Suddenly, writing that paper feels like way less effort. Now for the next one. This one tackles a problem we all know too well: mornings. They're just the hardest, right? Your motivation is basically zero. Your brain feels like it's running at half speed. It's just a potato. And if you have to make a ton of little decisions the second you wake up, you're probably just going to crawl back into bed. So the fix for this is called the zombie setup. The night before, you basically set everything up for your morning self, so you can just get started on autopilot before your brain even knows what's going on. And this is what that looks like. You lay out your clothes, you fill up your water bottle, and this part's key. You open your laptop to the exact document you need. Your textbook is open to the right page, pen right on top. You're getting rid of all those tiny little excuses so you can just sit down and go. Okay, on to section 2. This is all about the psychological tricks, the mind games you can play with yourself to make work actually seem more interesting than taking a break. You know how it is. You tell yourself just a 5-minute phone break, and then it's 3 hours later. Well, the issue isn't the break, it's the dopamine. Your phone is just way too stimulating. It gives your brain this huge chemical reward that your homework just can't compete with. So the solution is to take a do-nothing break. Seriously, make your breaks so boring that your work starts to look good. Just stare at the wall, drink a glass of water, do something completely unstimulating. Eventually, your brain is going to get so bored that it'll basically beg to go back to work. That brings us to our next big mental block. A lot of times, we put things off because we're scared it won't be perfect. You stare at that blank page for hours, which is just exhausting, and honestly, it's the opposite of being lazy. And the way you beat this is with a garbage draft. You just give yourself permission to write the worst thing ever. Total trash. Use half-baked sentences. Type, "come back to this later," and just keep going. The goal isn't to be good, the goal is just to start. Because this is the absolute truth right here. It is always, always easier to edit a bad page than it is to edit a blank page. Just get something down. You can fix it later. This is the laziest, but also the smartest way to get past that writer's block. Which leads us perfectly into our last section, building lazy systems. This is all about saving your precious brain power for the stuff that actually matters, instead of wasting it on the small stuff. So what happens when you just can't? Like, you really can't make yourself sit down and study. That's when you use passive input. Find a YouTube video or a podcast about your topic. Maybe speed it up a little and just listen while you're doing something else, like cleaning or just lying down. You're not trying to memorize it, you're just letting it wash over you. It kind of primes your brain for when you actually do sit down to work.
And what about all those little decisions you have to make every single day? That's called decision fatigue, and it's a real drain. So the lazy solution is to template your life. Anytime you do something more than twice, make a template. A pre-written email for your professors, a standard way you take notes, yeah, even eating the same breakfast every day. It sounds boring, but it frees up so much mental energy.
Okay, so all these ideas are great, but let's be honest. The hardest part of anything is just starting. So how do you get going with any of this when you feel like you have absolutely zero motivation?
Well, this is it. This is maybe the most powerful trick of them all. It's the 2-minute lie. You just lie to yourself. You say, I'm not going to write this whole essay. I'm just going to work on it for 2 minutes. That's it. Because anyone, even the laziest version of you, can do something for just 2 minutes. But here's the magic. It's basically physics. An object in motion stays in motion. And what happens is, like 9 times out of 10, once you start that 2 minutes, you just keep going. You've already done the hardest part, which was just getting started in the first place.
So look, the goal here isn't to turn you into some kind of productivity machine. It's just about knowing how your brain works and then using your own laziness to your advantage. So let's wrap this up with a really simple, actionable challenge. So here's your mission. Tonight, don't try to reinvent your whole life. Just do one thing. Just take your phone, and before you sit down to do your work, put it on the other side of the room. That's it. Just see what happens. Because at the end of the day, that's what it all boils down to. Being lazy isn't a bad thing if it pushes you to find the easiest, most efficient way to get things done. It's not about working harder, it's about working smarter. Now go on, get to it. Or maybe take a nap first. You've earned it.